Hello to everyone watching. My name is Anna, also known as Bread Journey. This is my first video with voiceover. I am not yet brave enough to show my face to the camera, but you can see my hands, you can see my bread, you can see what I'm doing, and also this time hear what I'm doing because I will be talking you through. I don't have a professional sound equipment system, so if you hear any noises, sorry for that. That's my air conditioner running because it's really hot in my kitchen right now, and this bread is 75% whole grain, and I'm afraid that it might just overproof while I'm scoring it. Okay, let's get started. A lot of people ask how I transfer the bread into the oven or if I use a Dutch oven. There are multiple different ways of doing that. This is my way. I just flip it onto a pizza peel with parchment paper. And I always use lining with my bannetons because first of all, it's easier to peel off even if it gets stuck somewhere. You just miss that little spot and there's no drama and no damage done the way you'd have to scrape it out of an unlined banneton. But also I feel it absorbs more moisture and it leaves you with a better canvas. Flour deliberately, and by that I mean put much more flour than you think you'll need, like this, and then I just rub it into the face of the bread, making sure I get all the sides, making sure that the canvas is nice and smooth and white. And don't worry about the flour around. It will darken in the oven, but it won't burn and set off your fire alarm. Now, next to my favorite little tool, my invention, if you know about that, the same spool of thread that I've been using for years now. And we will start off with a simple outline. There are multiple ways in which you can line the bread. This is the easiest one, I think, because all you have to do is constantly divide in two. And you could stop there, but I double line it because that way I get not only the centers of all my elements but also the sides. And now I don't know what I will be scoring yet. We will discover that together. And what the heck, while we're at it, let's add some more lines. None of this is mandatory. If you're confident with what you want to do, or if your design is not too intricate, you can just line the first 4 lines, or actually the first 8 lines. That would be a safer option, but you can do as many as you want. And see how here it kind of it's not as sharp as I want it, so you can always just do this. Swipe off the flour with your finger and then line the thread again. Okay, we're in this together. I don't know where we're going, but I know that my trusty UFO lame will take me, not lame, Lam, yeah, UFO Lam, that's how you should pronounce it, I keep messing it up, will take me where I need to. Okay, you probably know I like wheat stalks. That's how most of my designs start. And you'll see now the actual speed at which I am scoring them, because sometimes when you just watch the videos online, they are so sped up and you think that you just have to quickly score all that. And I mean, you do you. If you don't have too much time on your hands, or if you're just impatient, or if you're just thinking, what the heck, I will just eat this loaf an hour later, so who cares how meticulous I am, sure, you can go fast, as fast as you want. That's not what I like to do with my bread, particularly because I do find joy in scoring. This is more or less the reason why I'm doing that. I don't need a whole lot of bread. Actually, I didn't even really like bread before I started making my own sourdough. So I don't think I bake out of necessity as much as I do it for the joy and pleasure of it. and scoring is a really big part of it for me. And you will see that if you imagine the 3 lines with the 2 intervals between them as one segment, I alternate segments, scoring into one and leaving one blank. And now you see why I like to go with more lines as my prep, because this way I can have all the stalks the exact same width and all the intervals between them the same width, and this helps maintain a beautiful symmetry. So I've been tweaking my starter, and you can maybe read about this in my recent blog post if you want to. But my breads have been getting more bounce than usual, even if this is a whole grain mostly bread. So I've been doing deeper lines too to adjust for that, because if you're doing a bread that's mostly, I don't know, like all-purpose flour, or your starter is not that strong, or you're going for 65% hydration, you don't need to worry much about the loaves exploding. And maybe you also like the rustic look of it. I had people tell me that they actually prefer the bread that is cracked because it looks alive. Again, you do you. There are no rules in this. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder and all that. I'm trying to achieve the effect that I like, and I'm making adjustments for it. And maybe your first scoring will work perfectly well. I've seen that with some people showing me their very first scored loaves, and I'm jealous because it took me dozens of loaves to get there, and they just did it on the first go. Kudos to them. This was not my experience. This might not be your experience because your oven operates differently than mine. You ferment your dough probably differently than I do. We have different humidities, altitudes, temperatures, you name it, and all of that affects the dough. Whenever I'm asked, oh, what can I do? My loaf cracked, what did I do wrong? I never quite know what to say because it all depends. I don't know what happened in your kitchen. I do have a blog post about it with a few reasons why your loaf could have exploded, but you never really know. Okay, so here we are. This is kind of a basic thing. I didn't want to go too complicated with our very first instructional video. And I also get questions about the loaf spreading, and people telling me that, oh, your loaf stays so nice and domed and mine spread, what happened? You see now how much it's actually spread. Like, look at this recent cut that I've just made right here. It's just a fine line out. I don't know if you even see it. And look what's happening here, and how the cuts are spreading out. And I'm not concerned with this. If you know that your starter is good and you've put in sufficient work into your dough, it will just bounce back, and maybe even more than you've bargained for. So I'm not worried at all about the bread spreading, and I don't think you should be either. Okay, I'll just freestyle it here, just whatever seems right to me to kind of fill in the dough. You could have just stopped at where I did with the first flour, but that way probably the petals would curl up on baking and you'd get ears. If you want them, again, just go for it. I'm trying to give the bread as many points of expansion as I can so that it stretches out nice and even. I'm a little bit nervous doing this now because I never really know what the bread will turn out like in the oven. I can more or less make safe, educated guesses whether or not the bread has cracking potential or not. And you know, the dough is an unforgiving canvas. Once you've scored something, you can't take that back. You can't erase the cut. It's just there, and you can make adjustments for it. it might crack here. I'll just take that call now. The cuts might join, or it might actually split. It would split if it were underproofed, which I don't think this is at all. But we'll see. I'm sending this one now into the oven. 20 minutes with steam, and then 20 minutes without steam. And I'll get back to you when it's done. Welcome back. I'm back with my loaf. As you can tell, I'm glad to have been wrong. It has not cracked, it has not split. This is also not the tallest loaf because this is almost entirely whole grain, and so it doesn't have that shiny crust, although it's still deliciously crunchy. I hope you enjoyed my very first video. I'm new to this, so please let me know what I can do better next time, what other questions you have, and hopefully I'll be showing you a lot more patterns and sharing my tips and just taking you along for the ride. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.